Bell Gardens, who have been part of not only the design of the playground, but crucial to many other workshops we've had for the city. And they've contributed their ideas, their time, their energy. And so it was a really kind of beautiful moment to see that happen. And like I said, it was a surprise to everyone, not only to the Girl Scout troop, but to everyone present. And so our RCY commissioner and troop leader, Carmen Sandoval, she was an integral part of this entire project, and she worked all day. They helped feed all the volunteers. And so it was a truly amazing experience to see them receive the $10,000 check. So we're excited to see what they're going to be doing with that money. And it'll fund not only their membership dues, but some exciting activities for our Girl Scouts. And so that's a pretty big update. Our small fry basketball is underway, and that's for children ages 4 to 7 and 8, only if they're in second grade. There are 10 teams formed, and practices will be held at the Ford Park Gym on Mondays, Wednesdays, or Tuesdays and Thursdays in the afternoon. We had a pumpkin carving activity at Bell Gardens Veterans Park. It was the first of the fall activities for our after-school program, and children got to carve the pumpkin, and they got to design and create their own artwork for the pumpkin. And it was not only just like a fall type of activity, but also science and math. And they got to scoop out the insides and learn about the pumpkin. And so it was really exciting to see that we're slowly getting back to what we're good at. And everyone had a really good time with that. There's also a talent show coming up at the Senior Center. It's an intergenerational talent show that will include performances from residents. And that'll be a show put on for our seniors. And there's an opportunity to win a prize. And people are encouraged to participate or to come and be part of the audience as well. We are currently planning our Halloween Carnival and Dia de los Muertos exhibition. This year, we're combining both events as we've done in years prior to last year. And so the Halloween Carnival will consist of 15 carnival booths, food vendors, photo stations, costume contests, stage games. And then in front of the Ross Hall courtyard, it'll be a Dia de los Muertos pass-through exhibit. And so there'll be beautiful artwork, altares, and the community is encouraged to submit photos of their loved ones and or of their pets. And so we hope that you can all participate. There will be a special altar dedicated to pets who have passed. And that should be a really exciting and beautiful event as well. And then just for one of our past events, we had El Grito. I know we didn't have a September meeting, but we had a very successful El Grito event that was highly attended and people had a lot of fun. And it was a great celebration for our community. And again, just nice to be going back to some sort of normalcy. And that's all I have for our update.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Anna. Any questions from commissioners? No, let's move on to commissioner comments. So we're going to go ahead and begin by looking at ad hoc committee update. So the main one that's coming up is that as our ad hoc committee is ongoing and rolling, we're looking at the senior scholarship program that ends around June. We want maybe look at how that would kick off a little bit earlier. That way the students can receive the money a little bit earlier. I know we've done a lot of work on the rubric as well as getting transcripts and whatnot. So if we could maybe look at handling the process towards the second semester, that way it could be done closer to graduation, right? Which would be somewhere around May.
Would you like to set a deadline for that? Maybe the ad hoc committee can can discuss that and set a deadline now so that we can
Kind of work
work
backwards.
backwards.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Anybody from the ad hoc committee want to suggest a deadline or thoughts on what would work? Ultimately, I think it's the fact that once we announce the winners, it takes them some time, and some students, based on when they start school, they can start in the summer, they can start in the fall, and that money would be really important for them to get once they kick off their collegiate or next level year.
I would like to see us to start moving on the scholarships, looking at it in April. I think most schools get out in May, early June. So April gives us enough time if we want to revise anything with the rubric, make any changes to the process. We can make those changes in time to get the scholarship applications out, put the announcement out to the public, and then have them submit it back to us so that we are able to issue those scholarship awards prior to school getting out for the summer.
I agree. I was going to suggest that as the ad hoc committee get together in March and finalize everything so that we're able to have that application out in April, but I think that's a great timeline.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, so that'll be the goal, that the ad hoc committee will have all the paperwork, all the flyers ready, moving into April, right? That way that March ad hoc committee update, we'll be looking at action items and deciding which way we would move forward on that specific scholarship. Good. Any other comments or questions on this topic?
Daisy reminded us that their transcripts aren't ready at that time. And so that's something we ran into, even though we waited to the end of the school year, that we couldn't get official transcripts from them. So we'll have to go with the unofficial transcripts.
We can always look at the unofficial transcripts since they're not released yet by the schools. We can set a deadline for when they should submit their official transcripts prior to issuing of the scholarship awards. I think April, we're putting it out. We would have them preliminarily submit an unofficial transcript, and then they would have to submit an official transcript by, we'll set a deadline. And that deadline should be before the scholarship awards are finalized.
Good. Any other questions? Also, if we need an official transcript, we could stop at the first semester senior year, and then the unofficial would be a progress report
Right.
or some kind of grade book that they have unofficially. That way we'll know their grades moving into senior year. Okay, great.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, the same thing as you. It's almost like when students apply to college, right? They have to submit everything beforehand,
Right.
and they submit the application, I believe, in October, so we should be fine.
Good. We're okay with that? Good, moving on. The banner program. So we've been excited about this for quite some time. Really excited that it's all going to start moving in that direction. We've had an ad hoc committee of kind of already created, and I think we'll revamp that as we go along. But I think it's important to start looking at what our objectives are in regards to goals and dates, and when we would like to see the banners actually up, and for what period of time. That way we can work with any other agencies that are trying to do something similar.
I like to see us start looking at the banner program as soon as the new year starts. As banners, they're gonna have to order them, get funding. I know that in the past, we talked about funding being earmarked for that program. I don't know if that funding is still gonna be available at the new fiscal year. So I would definitely like to talk about it before the year is over to see if funding is earmarked for that following year when the kids graduate, and then start working on it as soon as the year starts, because they're gonna have to put bids out. I'm not sure, but bids out for vendors to get the banners made and collect all that information from individuals that will be submitting to get a banner up. But I'm glad to see that we have some of these other banner programs that have been going up, like the veterans, and they have the Pride banners. Well, I mean, you didn't have to submit anything for them, but so now we know they have brackets for these banners to go up, right? So I'm glad to see that some of those other programs are already in motion, so that it makes it easier for this program to transition in.
And just to answer your questions about the funding has been earmarked for our banners, and there are 104 poles available to us.
And if that's 104 polls, is that like 104 banners, or how many brackets are available? Do we know?
It's 104 banners.
Banners available? Okay.
There was some council direction on including the top 10 students automatically to include the top 10 of Bell Gardens High School according to their GPA. But we'll have to discuss that further because that gets announced at the end of the year.
I also think that should be up to the people that are submitting. What if you have a top 10 student who doesn't want a banner posted in the city, you know? That's something we'll have to look at, definitely.
Yes, we can request that they actually fill out the application and submit an entry.
And do we have samples from other cities? I know that was something that was requested. Is that
Right. City of Norwalk will share their information with us. And the application we developed for the art show was used to develop the veteran banner program. And so then that's already been created, and we'll make our application similar to that application.
So if we were to start in January, we have funding 104 banners. When would we like to see them put up so we can kind of work backwards? Do you want it to kind of kick off in July? What month are we looking for?
Graduation is mid-June. Ideally, we should go mid-May to mid-June.
I was gonna suggest that just because I know we have 4th of July, and then those banners might want to be used for, you know, that holiday. So we really need to look and focus like what timeline we have and what other holidays are around that time, so that these students are able to have their banners posted for a few weeks at least.
I just had a question going back to 104 poles, right? Usually they come with harnesses on each side. Is it only one or two? Because then you could fit more, double
I think it's 2 banners
per
per
pole.
pole.
Okay.
If we are anticipating 4th of July flags going up and we know that each pole has 2 brackets for 2 banners, maybe we reserve the one side for the flag for 4th of July so that the banners are up there for a longer period of time. These kids have accomplished a big feat. They're getting into higher education, getting into college, and I think we should acknowledge them for a longer period of time.
Yes, we can definitely share the space. And that was discussed very briefly because last year we launched the Pride Banner program. And so that happens in June. So we'll have to determine whether we bring down the scholar banners in June to make room for the Pride banners, or we share the space. There are different streets, so we can take over some of the poles and then share with the Pride banners.
There's 104, right, banners total. I think it would be feasible to allow for the scholarship recipients to keep their banners up and add whatever holiday it is so that they're there for a longer period of time.
Right.
If that's something that we can look into.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring to, I know we discussed this before, but that electronic display, if we're able to use that as well, maybe the top 10 class could be utilized for that. So I don't know if that's even
That's a great
feasible.
suggestion.
That marquee has been out for a long time, since like 2018, 2019. Are you talking about the marquee on
Yeah.
Florence?
Yeah, I'm talking about the one by the bike.
You could see it
Oh,
off
okay,
the
the
710.
billboards.
Yeah, 710. But I mean, that's a great call too. That's been out forever. So I would like to know if they're actually gonna either fix that or discontinue that marquee that they have.
I just think that's like, that marquee is in a very busy street. That's a good place for a lot of the city's information to be broadcasted to city residents. Some city residents don't know what's going on in the city ever. And that marquee could be essential to getting that information out to them. So I don't know.
I think especially for like the senior citizens who don't have social media, and a lot of the things are sent out through social media. So having that marquee up and running would be a great idea. So I think that's something that we can ask so that they can be looked into to see if it can be fixed.
Yes, and it could also be a discussion item at the next meeting. But in the meantime, I can gather some information for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so to kind of reiterate, it looks like we, due to the banners being used for the city, looks like June's will be set aside for Pride. July will be set aside for the 4th of July and Independence Day. So we would have a choice to narrow our banners down to, let's say, 52, right, instead of 104, right, to go half, or to look at how we would kind of go ahead and share that. I guess my question is, who's responsible for June and July? That way, we're not creating decisions, and then there's somebody else that's responsible for.
Yeah, like I said, it was discussed briefly when the banner program was approved at the council meeting. So I will discuss that with our director and finalize the calendar and the flow of the banners going up.
Okay.
Anna, can you just clarify again, when you say 104 banners, is that counting the 2 on each side?
Right, total,
Okay, so I'd put the half.
That's why it'd be 52, 52 polls,
yes.
Okay,
52 polls on each side.
I think also it's going to determine the number of applicants that we get. So if we don't get a lot of applicants, or if we do get 52, then that'd be a perfect way of sharing that. But once again, that would be decided through city council, right? And the director.
Criteria that we develop.
I do want to throw something out just in case, right? So what about if we get more than that? Is it even feasible or possible where we could have like the college that they got accepted to, right? And then just put a few names on there. That's if we have a lot of applications or people applying for it.
I think that's some of the things that the March committee are going to have to
Yeah.
troubleshoot, because it's really going to be based on what we get and what our expectations are, because we know that we have a lot of educational places in the city of Bell Gardens. And if we take top 10 of every single one of those educational places, we ran out of banners, right? So it's really going to be a lot on the ad hoc committee to decide how they want to navigate that, right? Because everyone within those educational places are expanding their own personal education. So I think it's something we need to, of course, showcase as part of this commission. Cool. So at this point, Anna will get us information on who would be ultimately responsible for these decisions, and then the ad hoc committee will work towards getting everything finalized by March. Good. And I'll put an update for the next agenda. Okay. Our final commissioner comment is on nonprofit partnerships for the community. I know there are 2 commissioners here that are very passionate about that. Go ahead and begin.
I asked for that item to be put on there as well. So I think that if we could bring some nonprofit organizations to help our community residents do some sort of job training so that they're able to write resumes, they're able to do interview skills and things of that nature. I know that that's something that we've talked about before, but I think we haven't done much to see that project through. So I would like to revisit that.
We do have a few partnerships now with the Community Family Service Center, and one of those partnerships does provide that service for young adults. I think it's like 18 to 24. I want to say it's Spirit Family Services.
Yeah, I was going to piggyback on, because I had this almost kind of identical thing as far as nonprofits, right? First of all, I would love to know like what nonprofits we have currently right now that revolve with education, right? I went on a hike a few weeks ago and I met this individual that does like a lot of financial literacy programs for different communities. So that sparked my entrance, right? I was wondering if we have something or we established anything with that.
Actually, we are going to start having workshops. I believe it's several Saturdays that we will be having financial literacy workshops. So I can
Awesome.
update you all. I can send you the information via email. Yes.
Anna, when you guys get these services, are they broadcasted anywhere on the city's website, or How do people find out about these services?
Yes, they're shared on the city website, on the Bell Gardens, City of Bell Gardens Instagram. Some of it is shared on the recreation page, but the City of Bell Gardens Instagram/Facebook has that information.
And so then how do we get this information to those demographics that don't use mobile devices, don't have computers at home?
They
Are
can
we
call our
doing
office.
mailers
Yeah.
or?
There are flyers in the different city facilities. Our recreation brochure just came out
Okay.
for the first time since the pandemic. And so there's some of that information in here. And we are already working on our winter brochure. And so that did go out to all of the households in Bell Gardens. We do have brochures available at our city facilities. Sometimes when there's like a back house, maybe they don't always get the brochure. And so we do have them available at the different facilities. If there are any neighbors that you know that need some, we have more in our offices.
So aside from the classes, are that information regarding the programs in the brochure as well? Or is there like a number for additional information that?
Yes,
listed on it?
the Community Family Service Center phone number is 562-928-2000. But some of the information is listed in the brochure. It's page 8 under Community Family Services. And the Spirit office hours are listed. There's a immigration workshop. We have also an LGBTQ youth group partnered with Latino Equality Alliance. They just had a dodgeball game last Sunday. And it was a really fun event, and it was held over at the Ford Park Gym. Job Corps is who has the services that does free education for residents, job training, and they do also help with resume building. And their office hours are listed. And so the correct ages are 16 to 24. The other services that we offer through the Community Family Service Center is a food pantry, and we also do the monthly food distributions. Those haven't stopped. And then they partner with a variety of agencies. I know there's a citizenship workshop coming up to help residents become US citizens. And Carecen is the group that sponsors that, and they have enough funding to cover the cost that comes with becoming a citizen. It's a nearly $900 application process. So if they qualify, not only will they help them with the application process, but it'll get fully funded.
Yeah, all those things are great news, and I wish that more residents would be informed about it. And if they're not on social media, they don't get informed. So it's like, how can we inform them?
Yes, and so our brochure does have some of that information. Like I said, it's our first brochure out in a few years. Our community relies on this. One of you mentioned not everybody has a mobile device or is online. And so we did realize that our community relies on the book. People would come into the office asking for the book. And so they should have received it already. It looks like this. And it is in English and Spanish. Obviously, we can't fit everything we do, but we tried to include as much information as possible. All of the after-school activities are listed from both the Neighborhood Youth Center and Veterans Park. There's a page dedicated to sports, a page dedicated to the Ross Hall rental information as well. We get a lot of inquiries about that. People are ready to start having celebrations and they want to use the facility. We did host our first rental to the community last month. The last few years, we've only used Ross Hall for meetings, workshops, trainings, things like that. And so we're back to renting it out to the community.
I was just to say, I got this to the mail and it was nice, actually. And I love how the QR codes are down here. So easy. So I had a question regarding that. Is there like a email distribution list or maybe in the future that could be sent out to residents?
There
you get
isn't
like a-
yet,
Okay, they could get a PDF copy,
which is what a lot of cities do now.
Mhm.
You can go online and view it. And that usually is available online, but as we mentioned, our community isn't all on the World Wide Web. And so they do rely on the actual paper copy.
So I just have a follow-up question. You mentioned a couple of these nonprofit agencies. Do the majority of, when do you consider somebody a collaboration versus a partnership? So like a long-standing partnership would be if they do classes for like more than a year, that's a solid partnership. Like I know we had the BG 5K, a lot of collaborations came into support.
Yes, I didn't even mention the BG 5K. It just happened. I didn't even mention it on our update. And that we partnered with Aslan Athletics to put on the 5K. So partnerships are sometimes, a once a year thing. We partner with Human Services Association for as long as I've been here, or I don't know, 25 something years. They provide our meals for the seniors, as well as some social services. So we do have a lot of partners, but I can work on compiling a list for you all. Yep.
Great.
That's what you're interested in.
Yeah, thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
A lot of partnerships, a lot of good things happening in the city. We'll move on to commissioner comments.
All right, I guess I could go. First of all, I just want to thank the city employees, Parks and Rec, council members, mayors. The 5K was amazing. I really had a good time. I got to walk with some friends and met the community, especially the art component they had to that was amazing. I didn't even realize some residents have like major skills. They're talented, and that was beautiful. So yeah, that's about it for me. I was just impressed.
Thank you, Oscar.
I'm going to echo a lot of what Oscar said. We got to do the 5K together, and yes, being able to experience that and see the community come out was great. I think the art component, once again, we met a couple artists that day from our community that I was like, that's amazing art. We're walking, I even told Oscar, hold on, stop. And I had to literally turn around and look at this piece of artwork, from one of our residents that lives here in our community. So the fact that we were able to have that is wonderful. And I think we also are bringing on Friday, right? We have a farmer's market on Friday. So bringing all these things to the community for the residents, I think it's great working together. So thank you to your department and to city council and to the staff for working so hard for the residents.
Thank you so much. I'll just add to that because now I realize I also didn't mention the farmer's market. There's just so much going on. The farmer's market begins this Friday and it'll be 11 to 3 and that'll be ongoing. So please tell your neighbors and friends. It is early. That's just typically how farmers markets go. And as far as the art expo, yes, we had 24 artists participating and they were all Bell Gardens residents. So that I think was my favorite part of the whole art expo is that they were all our neighbors and they're very excited about creating this artist community. And we're excited to see what we do in the future with them.
I too would just like to thank the city staff for the continued work they continue to do to enhance the quality of life of our residents. I'd like to congratulate the Girl Scouts for their award from CarMax and applaud their leader, Carmen Salvador, for her leadership in leading these youth and in providing her assistance with giving out the food at that event for Kaboom. I also like to applaud the city for the work they continue to do to bring the 5K and bringing healthy activities to our residents. I think health is very important, especially with our older residents. And so I did see a lot of older residents in the pictures that I saw of the 5K. So that's really nice for them to go out there and be active residents in the city. So I like these types of events. I'm also glad to hear about the art show that they had. I would like to see maybe like a quarterly art walk, maybe with all these artists that we have in the city. Maybe we can look into having maybe a quarterly art walk with some of these artists to display their artwork and get it out there. And that is it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. That is the plan. Actually, that was the first part of the plan, is to start an art walk. And now that we've had the art expo, we have a ready-made community of artists who are ready for the art walk. And I did talk to all of them about it. And so we will be planning that for the fall. When our summer concerts and movies end, then we'll move into the art walk. That'll be monthly, September, October, and November.
I just want to add how impressed I continually am month after month. In particular, the fact that there was no playground one day, and if you caught anything in the middle and drove by, there was looks like, I think there'll be a playground there soon. Very next day, playground pops up. It's just a testament to the ongoing work and the amount of planning I'm sure that it took place. Once again, we see that with the 5K and how literally almost less than a week later, right? Farmers market in Bell Gardens. I think it's those type of healthy activities that we continue to.
Playground, I really want to express that Public Works, our Public Works Department, to say they went above and beyond is not enough. There was a lot of work that had to be done beforehand, not only to remove the old playground, but there was lots of concrete underneath. And if you were at the event at the Kaboom Build, we put together a video showing all the work that they did throughout the weeks to prepare for the playground build. And so I really want to make sure that we thank them and let them know how appreciated they are, because without that foundational work, we wouldn't have been able to have such a successful build day, because it was up in one day. And we're just waiting now on the final inspection so we can plan the ribbon cutting. And you'll all be invited to that.
I did forget to mention something about the 5K. So I ran into my old teacher, which was behind Aslan Foundation, Mr. Alfaro. And it was a pleasure to talk to him. And in something, I'm going to date myself, but back in the mid 80s, when I was at BGI, he had a lot of kids that were part of the cross country team to get them off the streets. And he continues that work today. And as I was talking to him, he's actually still coaching the high school at, I think he's 72, 73. And he's still out in the high school coaching cross country. And same thing, he's all about the community. And that was amazing. So that's a wonderful partnership right there. Someone that knows the community, came from the community.
Commissioners? Oh, motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.